But this is simply brainwashing. You see, but the people whose skins were white, and when I was busy decoding racism 25 years ago, one of the things that occurred to me, in addition to the fact of white minority status and white genetic recessive status, was that while we were busy being told, the blacker you are, the uglier you are. And if you're black, stay back. And if you're brown, what? Stick around. And if you're yellow, you're mellow. And if you're white, you're all right. Where there has been a confrontation with whites, or whites have confronted the colored people in that area of the world, they have taught the people, the more color you have, the uglier you are, and get in the back of the line. Because that was the most powerful genetic status. And therefore, the more color you could create with your genetics, the greater the threat you were to white genetic survival. And this is why if you go to the prisons today, will you see black people at the lighter end of the spectrum or at the darker end of the spectrum? Class, what do you see? At the darker end of the spectrum. Now, under white supremacy, we will just learn, well, that's because they're black and bad. No. It's because that quantity of the production of melanin at the genetic level is perceived by the white collective as being the greatest threat. That's why it was easier to let Cubans come in than Haitians. But while we were being taught all this negative about color, and this is one thing that I looked at, gosh, they talk negatively about color, but in the summer and in the winter, tanning is gotta be tan. Gotta go to the suntan parlor, even when it's snow on the ground. A white student told me, I believe it was at George Washington or Georgetown University some time ago, and I was talking to these white students about racism, and the white student said, Dr. Welsing, did you know that we compete in the summer to see who can get the darkest? See, we didn't know that on our side of the track, right? It's like when I went to college, I went to Antioch College, and in those ancient days, 1951, integration was one black girl and one black boy per class. And here I was from the ghetto, from the south side of Chicago. I saw all these white people the first spring. I was coming back from lunch, and all these bodies with clothes off, not completely naked, but there they were with their clothes off, and I was still shivering. Maybe it was April. And I hadn't seen this before. And I actually stood there, what are they doing? I realized that they were tanning. Do you see, the first time the sun comes out and gets a little bit warm,